They don't pay $30 an hour for nothing. That's what I told myself as I pulled into the gravel lot of Coyote Fuel and Go. My headlights swept across the weathered sign, the neon coyote flickering, never fully lit. The station sat alone on Highway 160, a solitary outpost in the endless emptiness of the Navajo Nation. As I killed the engine of my beat-up Civic, I just sat for a moment, listening to the tick of cooling metal. The desert night pressed in on all sides, heavy, silent. Inside, the fluorescent lights buzzed weakly. The place smelled of stale coffee, old hot dogs, and cleaning bleach. My boss, Larry, left me a handwritten note taped to the counter. Rules for night shift. The rules seemed like a joke at first. Don't answer the door between 1:13 and 1:23 a.m. If you hear scratching at the windows, do not look. I'd worked graveyard shifts before, but nothing like this. The early hours were boring, honestly. I cleaned the coffee machines, wiped down the counters, restocked the fridge. A local sheriff came in around 10 p.m., bought a Red Bull and some jerky, asked how I liked my first night. He told me, "It gets weird out here sometimes, just follow Larry's rules." Around 11 p.m., a dusty old pickup truck pulled in. A man with a cowboy hat and a big mustache came inside, grabbed a six-pack, paid in cash. He stared at me for a bit too long, then asked if I was new. When I said yes, he just shook his head and muttered, "Hope you know what you're doing, boy." I watched his taillights disappear into the darkness. Midnight crept in. The air felt colder, heavier. I kept checking the clock, every minute dragging. Suddenly, a static burst crackled through the radio behind the counter, even though I hadn't turned it on. A voice whispered, "Don't look outside." I unplugged the radio. At 1:14 a.m. sharp, scratching at the front window started. It was soft at first, almost gentle, then grew faster, desperate. I remembered rule number 2. I stayed behind the counter, heart pounding. The scratching stopped, and a low voice said my name, perfectly, as if someone who knew me. I wanted to run, but my feet wouldn't move. After that, silence returned, but it was heavy. I tried to busy myself, mopping the already clean floor, counting candy bars. Every time I passed the windows, I felt watched. Around 1:50 a.m., a woman knocked at the door, holding a gas can. She looked normal, but her eyes, something was off. Too wide, too shiny. She begged me to let her in. "My car broke down. Please, I need to use your phone." But rule number 5 was clear. No one comes in between 1 and 4 a.m., no matter what. I shook my head and mouthed, "Sorry." Her smile faded into a scowl, and she walked away, disappearing into the dark. At 2:07, the phone rang twice. Rule number 4, don't answer unless it rings 3 times. But curiosity gnawed at me. On the 3rd ring, I picked up. No one spoke, but I heard heavy breathing, and then a whisper, "You're not supposed to be here." I hung up, shivering. Suddenly, all the lights flickered and went out, leaving only the glow of the ice freezer outside. I reached for my phone, no signal. I lit a cheap flashlight from behind the counter and waited. Something was moving outside, circling the building, long shadows darting between the pumps. I heard footsteps on the roof, running, then stopping, then something heavy jumping down near the back. I gripped the bat kept under the counter. A face appeared at the window, human-shaped but wrong. The mouth too wide, eyes glassy and animal. It whispered, "Let me in, I'm cold." I squeezed my eyes shut, repeating, "It's not real, it's not real." I heard a crash at the back door. Something or someone had forced it open. I could hear footsteps dragging, then something sniffing, low to the ground. I hid in the bathroom, barely breathing, heart hammering. I heard it come closer, sniffing at the door, then scratching. After what felt like forever, the sound stopped. I waited, then stepped out. The station was empty, but the back door hung open, claw marks scratched deep into the metal. I closed it, locked every door, and checked the clock. 3:33 a.m. That's when I saw a shape outside, crouched by the dumpster, staring at me with those same glassy eyes. For the next hour, shadows played tricks on my eyes. Faces and reflections, voices whispering my name from the soda fridge. I started to wonder if I was losing my mind. I read the list of rules again, fingers shaking. At 4:10 a.m., I saw 5 figures outside moving on all fours, circling the gas pumps. One stopped and stood up straight, impossibly tall, head tilting at an unnatural angle. They stared at me for a long time, then scattered into the night, vanishing without a trace. At 5:45, the first light of dawn finally crept over the mesas. Everything outside looked completely normal again. Larry showed up with a box of donuts and a tired smile. "So, how'd your first night go?" I handed him the rule list and said, "Never again." Sometimes I wonder what really walks out there in the dark, beyond the gas station lights. I used to believe the world was simple. Bad things happened far away to other people, not to someone like me just trying to make rent. But some nights I remember the faces at the window, the voices calling my name, the feeling that something was always watching, waiting, testing the locks. Maybe there's nothing supernatural about it. Maybe fear just makes the shadows deeper and the silence heavier. But I've learned that the scariest thing isn't always what's out there. It's how fast your own mind can turn against you when you're alone, tired, and the night stretches on. If you ever take a job like this, remember, follow the rules, trust your instincts, and never, ever open the door to something that just doesn't feel right. Even if it sounds like someone you love. Because out here, there are things that feed on curiosity, on kindness, on your need to believe that you're safe. Not every story has a neat ending. Some just leave you with questions you'll never be brave enough to ask out loud. And some nights, the silence outside the glass isn't peace, it's a warning.